While Debbie and Carrie supervise Vicky's modeling work, Sandy brings Annika to meet her relatives at their home. Richard goes with them.
Thank you for bringing Annika to us. Your daughter mentioned the possibility of Annika spending the summer with us, so we've already set aside a bedroom for her.
Good. Allow me to inspect the room, and then I will leave so you can enjoy your time with Annika. Oh, and Richard. Annika insisted he come along.
That's understandable. Debbie sent us the email explaining how protective those two are of each other, ever since Annika saved Richard from being shot by the gunmen who killed Charles and Michael.
Do you think you could live here? Your great uncle and aunt seem like nice people.
Maybe. But wouldn't you miss me? I think I would miss you.
Yeah, I would. My mother already said I wouldn't have a brother or sister, so you are the closest I have to that. I love your company.
Ah, those two are so cute together. I can see why Debbie wants to keep Annika.
But I think we can both agree she really belongs with you. I just have to convince Debbie and Annika of that.
No need to push things. Annika needs time to adjust to being here anyway.
And thus my bringing her here. Now if you will excuse me, I have a political rally to attend. Mother, we just finished Vicky's modeling session. Shall we meet up at the rally? Yes, I am on my way now. My name is Sandy Smith, and I am running for a place on the Texas State Senate. First, let me state the obvious. The district I am running in is overwhelmingly Republican, and so I have virtually no chance of winning against a typical Republican opponent. So why bother to run at all? 3 reasons. First, I am an atheist. Second, my daughter is a lesbian. And third, I have black relatives by marriage. My being a white person makes me bad if I use that as an excuse to advocate for policies that discriminate against blacks or other minorities. My being a straight person makes me bad if I support laws against LGBT people. And since religion is a matter of belief and not of facts, it shouldn't determine how our governments are run. I use an app called Plotagon to tell stories, including ones based on my actual life and the lives of my friends. My daughter, her wife and I had a long talk about racism and we made a video together about it. Please watch it. Mother Lucy, do you have any idea how the assumption that blacks are inferior to whites began?
It certainly didn't exist among Europeans 1,000 years ago, but I think that was mainly because Europeans had little contact with people south of the Sahara Desert. What we do know is that in the time period, most of Europe was dominated by a political system known as feudalism, in which kings and emperors had absolute power over their subjects. Below the rulers were the nobility who had most of the wealth and the clergy that cooperated with the rulers and nobles to keep the lower classes in line. Then below the nobles and clergy were the peasants who were free but also poor. The maintenance of a strict social hierarchy meant that peasants would have no chance to become rich and join the nobility. And even worse than the peasants were the serfs, who were actual slaves, bound to the land and forced to work on farms without pay. But those serfs were of the same nation and skin color as the rest of their society, so it was easy for a serf to escape and seek freedom elsewhere. Being white meant they could blend in and likely avoid capture. As Europeans began to colonize the American continents in the 1600s, they came up with a solution to the problem of slavery among themselves. They began capturing Africans and taking them across the Atlantic to work on plantations, just as the serfs did in Europe. But being black rather than white meant these slaves would have a much more difficult time escaping to freedom than the white serfs in Europe did. When you start treating people that look differently from you as inferior, it becomes a habit. You see a slave and think they will be a slave forever because that is their natural destiny. But the fact remains that blacks became socially inferior in the Americas because whites made them so. Were the white serfs in Europe inferior to those above them? Again, only socially. And the whites that made blacks inferior have therefore a moral duty to make them equals. To this day, there are people, in America and around the world, who use corrupt politics and religion to advocate for social conservatism, which is all about returning societies to something like the feudalism of Europe centuries ago. And we must never allow them to drag us back to that way of life, for it degrades us all.
As a white person, I do not feel superior to Lucy at all. Had I lived in Europe 1,000 years ago, I might have been a peasant or even a serf. Also, I am a woman and men might feel superior to me. I am a lesbian and straight women might feel superior to me. I am an atheist and Christians might feel superior to me. You can come up with 1,000 reasons to justify being bigoted and thus conservative, but we only need one reason to be progressive: the common humanity we all share. This is what I am about. This is what I stand for. Our common humanity. As long as someone stands for that, others will know about the principles we believe in and will have a chance to support them. It doesn't matter if I win an election or not. In the book of Genesis, God told Abraham he was going to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham asked if God would destroy the righteous along with the wicked. God said he wouldn't, as long as there was at least 10 righteous people in those cities. Abraham was concerned about the minority of righteous people in that area. Likewise, we must be concerned about the minorities in our society today. No one must be left behind. All must be defended. Justice must apply equally to everyone, without any double standards. If people know what we are about, there is always the chance that one day, we will win. We certainly won't accomplish anything if we don't try. Thank you.
Did you really have that discussion with our mothers?
Yes. At least that's how I remember it.
That's why I am glad we renamed our web-based news network America for All. That should also be my mother's campaign slogan.